Hello?
Yeah, 16 years in Parliament.
Parliament,
Yes. So he spent
yes,
16 years in
yes.
the Parliament of Ghana. Played
Uh-huh.
many roles. Alhaji, good
Uh-huh.
morning, and it's nice to have you on the line.
Good morning, how are you, Sarah?
I am well. I am well. I
Uh,
am well.
yeah.
How is the farm doing?
Well, there's the northern region has a climatic condition that requires two drought seasons in the rainy season.
Mm.
And so now in the northern region, the rains have stopped. They stopped about 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
So we are experiencing some drought conditions.
Oh, you're saying two drought. So within the rainy season.
Rainy season, you have two drought conditions.
Oh,
That
two
that
drought
we will
breaks.
experience.
I see.
Last year it was so severe that all the crops wilted before the rains came.
Okay. How this one?
This one is just about 2 weeks now, and then it's not that severe now.
Okay.
Even though as crops like human beings, this is the time they need the rain, but the rains are not coming.
But how are the crops holding? Are they doing well?
Those on low lands are doing well. Those on high grounds are folding. You can see stress in the crops.
I asked those questions, and I'll come back to that. But first, let's deal with the scenes in Parliament. In fact, when Irab Naomi was sworn in as member of Parliament for Ablekuma North, they said they staged a walkout. Later, granted interviews to the press saying her election was a result of violence. And then now in Parliament, when they were supposed to be seated and be part of the media budget review, they decided that they were going to go around circulating petitions to, even they went to the presidency, whose budget was before them. I don't. What do you make of these developments within Parliament?
Well, it's just totally unfortunate, and I think that members of Parliament, and particularly the minority side of Parliament, are yet to come to terms with their role in Parliament, and they take decisions which clearly cannot be supported by any parliamentary practice. You recall what they did at the vetting committee. You recall the interviews the minority leader gave in connection with the clerk to the appointment committee, and several others. I mean, when Obin was sworn in, they decided not to be part of the swearing-in ceremony, and all that. I think that our parliament, and particularly the behavior of the minority, does not conduce to parliamentary practice. I'm yet to see where a minority group of parliament or members of parliament can walk out because they do not want to be part of a media review of the budget. And so I'm actually lost for words because their behavior is totally unparliamentary.
Totally unparliamentary.
Totally unparliamentary, yeah.
And let me go back to what you said. You said they are yet to come to terms with their, you say their role in Parliament?
Yes, their role in Parliament as a minority.
Why? We usually get the impression that the minority is supposed to make life as difficult for the majority as possible, especially when you have this kind of overwhelming numbers on the majority side. Perhaps they are going the extra mile to attract some attention.
So the minority members are representing constituencies. They are not there on their own. The minority, the members of parliament, the members of their constituencies they are representing, have an interest in what the Minister of Finance will say. That will bring some ease to their lives, and that will assure them that the government is working for them. So the least they could do was to sit down and listen to the Minister for Finance deliver the mid-year review of the budget. No matter your disagreement with the minister, or no matter your condemnation and the disapproval of what happened in Ablekuma North, what you owe your constituents is to sit down and participate in the reading of the media review. And to say that you will not be part of it is to the best of my knowledge, unwarranted by parliamentary practice.
I see. What do they need to do? Because it seems, but you've been in parliament long enough. You've been in parliament both on the minority side, whilst in opposition, and on the majority side, whilst in government. What do you think needs to change? Because they may be feeling that this is the way to go.
No, this is not the way to go. I mean, and I can give you many examples to show that this is not the way to go. In 1995, 96, that's it? 98, after the elections. 96 after the elections, MPP got about 60 members of parliament in a 200-member parliament. They were minority. They did not walk out of parliament the way these people are walking out of parliament. They stood their ground, debated, and created an impression in the minds of Ghanaians that they were a better alternative. The 60-something members of parliament, G.H. Mensah, Ohene Ajekum, Ohene Kena, and others. No, not Ohene Kena. Felix Ajapon and others created the impression that the Hakman Owusu Ajuman and co. They created the impression that they were better alternatives to the NDC than ruling NDC. And little wonder that in 2000, Ghanaians bought into what they had done in Parliament, thought that through their arguments and debates in Parliament, they were a better alternative. It was not a walkout that secured them the victory of 2000. Similarly, when the NDC went into opposition, we walked out, but on critical issues, very critical issues, where there was a disagreement or where government was acting with impunity, we walked out. But we took part in the debates in such a way that Ghanaians were convinced that we were a better party to the MPP. And so Atamil succeeded Kofo. Now, when John Dramani Mahama contested Akufo-Addo, the MPP in Parliament did not walk out. They stayed in Parliament and debated us to the point where Ghanaians thought that Akufo-Addo was better, and they brought in Akufo-Addo. The time Akufo-Addo came, the minority members of Parliament in Parliament used parliamentary practices and procedures to debate the MPP and debate them so vociferously that the MPP was soundly and roundly defeated in the 2024 election. So that is the parliamentary practice. I'm not saying that walkouts are not permitted. Walkouts are part of parliamentary tools, but they must be employed in such a way as to justify that walkout. There's no connection or relationship between what happened in Ablik-Manoff and what was to happen yesterday. There's no connection whatsoever. And even when they boycotted the swearing in of Orbin, I said that I was shocked, I was surprised, because when Woken happened, we did not boycott. We did not boycott the swearing in. We stayed in and they swore in, but we made our voices heard. We did not boycott.
In this case, it seemed they wanted the speaker to allow them to speak, give the opportunity to them to make a comment before the swearing in of Irabna Obing. And the speaker was of the opinion that that is not the procedure. I swear him in, you make your comments.
That's not a procedure. You cannot make comments when someone is going to be sworn in. That is the first activity. When I came into Parliament through a by-election, like Araba Obin. When Parliament just convened that day, I was ushered into the chamber and I was sworn in. The first business of the day, I was sworn after prayers. The first business of the day was to swear in the new member of Parliament. So how can you make comments before the swearing in?
I'm wondering because these are decisions that are made by leadership, and I'm sure, as in Parliament always, people will always come back and tell you that most of the times we do not agree with some of these things, but what do we do? The leaders say so, so we just follow. Do you think this leadership has been efficient at making use of the platform of Parliament thus far for the minority?
No, this leadership has shown that they lack leadership abilities. They lack the capacity to lead a group of people. This leadership, by their actions, by their pronouncements, are found wanting when it comes to leadership. You recall what what's his name? Anodon Press said in the days leading up to the by-election in Ablekuma. You recall what he said? He invited the people, incited the people to beat people who were NDC, to beat them up. Okay? So that is not leadership. That's not leadership. And I've just given you two instances of the behavior of the minority leader, which doesn't show leadership. Leadership. And when the disturbances at the appointment committee happened, they were so boisterous that they refused even to apologize to Ghanaians. That's not leadership. That the leader could not even rein in his members. He actually supported his members in visiting that mayhem on the people of this country and blighting the conscience of the people of this country.
Where do you think this will ultimately land them? Because it seems they are convinced that this is the way to go.
I say that if they continue this way, today is the 25th of July, mark my word, by 7th January 2028, they will be so decimated that it will surprise them.
You're suggesting that these numbers can be further reduced?
If they don't change their ways. Because Ghanaians are not looking for what they are doing. Ghanaians are looking for an inclusive participatory government to ensure that you put government on its toes. Scrutinize what government is doing. Bring out the failings of government so that government, if it is a listening government, will improve. And that an improvement in governance inures to the benefit of the generality of Ghanaians. That's what Ghanaians are looking for.
But do they not have a case when they suggest that what happened at Ablekuma North should not have happened, and that they wanted the presidency to ensure that there's some investigation into it and some people held accountable for it?
No one will approve of what happened in Ablekuma North. Even if people are spoken in a way to seem to lend support to what happened in Ablekuma North, I can assure you that deep down their heart, they will not. They know that what happened in Ablekuma North is unacceptable. Because that's not the consensus that we have arrived at this country. We believe and we provided for laws to regulate how we choose leaders to parliament or persons to parliament. Doesn't include fisticuffs. So no one will, in his right mind, will support what happened in Ablekuma North. So will no one support what happened in Ayo Asuwe's Woken or all the other by-elections that recorded some levels of violence. Just like no one, the president has never endorsed, the President John Dramani Mahama Amin has never endorsed the killing of 8 people in the 2020 elections. And that's why he requested for an in-depth report on the circumstances surrounding the killing or the death of the 8 people. So no one supports violence. But there's always a time for everything. You started this interview with my farm. There is a time to sow, and there is a time to harvest. There's a time that the rains will come. There's a time that the rains will not come. To close our eyes to this reality, that it will be totally inappropriate to make a statement before the swearing in of an elected member of parliament or before the delivery of the mid-year review of the budget is to close your eyes to the reality that there is a time for everything.
Well, in the meantime, yesterday the media budget review was presented. And that's why I was asking you questions about how your farm was doing, because ultimately, one of the things the finance minister reported on is that food inflation had slowed, even locally produced food. First of all, are you happy as a party member, as someone who has worked for the president before? Are you happy at the progress that's been made?
Yeah, after the delivery of the mid-year budget, I've listened to commentaries across the length and breadth of this country. And I'm yet to see somebody who doesn't wear partisan political lenses criticize this budget review and the way we are going. Budget review is simply to track our progress. We as a country have decided through the Financial Management Act that when the budget is read and targets are given in the budget, 6 months down the line, we ought to come to review the budget and see whether we are on course. That is the essence of a budget review, mid-year budget review. Now, so the parliament approved of the budgets and the targets. 6 months down the line, the minister is obligated to come to tell us how the country is performing. And yesterday, I was left in no doubt that we are on firm ground, that our projections are in sight, that the minister is working to ensure that we keep the deficit under control, that the minister is working to ensure that inflation is put under control, that the minister is working to ensure that our CD is stabilized, that the minister is working to ensure that our foreign import cover is maintained and enhanced. Our minister is working to ensure that there will be fiscal discipline. Our minister is working to ensure that there will be coordinating between the Ministry of Finance and the Bank of Ghana. All that was made manifest and apparent in the mid-year review.
Great. And on the last sector you handled as minister was roads. In fact, I'm sure you've heard roads in there that you were talking about, that you're inspecting work on before leaving office. And it's more than 8 years ago since you left office as Minister for Roads and Highways. One of them critically is the Volivo Bridge. Do you expect that it will take many years for the construction to even start?
When I was even in Parliament, let me give you a story. One day, the Minister for Interior presently, then Minority Chief Whip, asked the Minister a question whether when the Volivo bridge will be constructed, because funds had been made available by the Japanese government. I tell you, the Minister did not know. I was in Parliament that day. Everybody was shocked.
Really?
He didn't know.
Which minister was it? Was it Amakwata?
Amakwata.
He knew nothing about the Volivo Bridge.
He knew nothing about the Volivo Bridge.
Something that had been approved in Parliament whilst he was sitting there.
I was in Parliament.
No, but he was an opposition.
Own observation and experience. I was there in Parliament.
No, but I'm saying he was an opposition member of Parliament when you went to Parliament and got approval.
He was simply not interested in what was happening in Parliament when he was in Parliament.
I see. Oh, so at that point, your conclusions were that there are no plans of touching it?
No. There are no plans.
And I guess you're hoping that this time around, the party that started actually does the work and completes it.
I traveled with John Dramani Mahama to Japan. And the whole journey, apart from bilateral relations, was centered on how to do the Tema Echukuma Road through Volivo.
Tema Esekuma Road through Volivo.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the lot one of the Eastern Corridor.
Okay. And it looks like that was announced in the budget.
Yes, it's going to be done. Because it will make traveling easy.
Okay.
And shorten it.
Or it will shorten travel time on that road.
That road.
See. Then there's the because a lot of people are talking about the promised bridge to be constructed over the Oti River. Has there ever been any plans in the works, even under you or predating you, to do that?
Oh, there have been plans to do many bridges, including the bridge over on Oti River. Because when you do the bridge over the Oti River, you ensure that there's traffic 24 hours. Now, if you want to cross the Oti River, you must make sure that you get to the bank of the river in time to catch the pontoon. So there have been plans. Even there were plans to do bridge over the Yeji River. So there have been, that's how a country develops. So the lack of a bridge there is a bottleneck. Travelers and goods and services, when they come, they have to wait. And you can come there and miss the pontoon just by seconds. And that's all. You have to stay there for 3-4 hours, and in some cases for more than a day.
But of everything that was announced, I'm wondering which of the roles for you, and I know there are many roles that, what do you make of the announcement on the road sector?
All the roads in the big push are very important roads. All the roads, either cocoa growing areas, either maize growing areas, food crop areas, all the roads are on the big push. And I am a believer of infrastructure, transportation, because transportation makes the lives of people better, comfortable, and convenient.
Well, and then let me conclude with you on this note. What do you make of the minister's comments, in fact, what he said about the ongoing audits of certificates that had been submitted by contractors from the road sector, that there are some contractors who have taken money, not done anything, and have still submitted new certificates to be examined. There are some certificates that have been recycled, among others, even though the process is not completed.
So while we're in opposition, we're hearing stories like this. So it doesn't come to me as a surprise. We're hearing stories like in that nature, that people were doing, taking money without working, people were overinflating their contracts and whatnot. People were submitting certificates for payments, both at the road fund and at the Ministry of Finance. So the fact that the minister has come to confirm it, it's not a surprise to me. What he has to do is to do what he says he's going to do, an audit to ensure those who were engaged in those things are identified and punished.
Alhaji, based on what you're saying, would we get the crops we need in the quantities we're required to meet the demand to ensure we keep inflation in check?
Yes, we would.
We would?
We would. I have no doubt about that, because of the strategies that have been put in place. First of all, the Bank of Ghana, Asiama, is not going to print money to support government. No, we are not going to do that. So inflation is... so there's a coordination between the Bank of Ghana monetary policy and Ministry of Finance fiscal policy. There's a coordination. And they are interlinked. So how will we miss the tracks? How will we conduct ourselves in such a way that we don't erode inflation? And the minister emphasized physical discipline. We are not going to spend recklessly. And so when he went to Parliament, Even though he announced 32 projects they pushed, he did not ask for additional money. Did he?
No.
No. So he knows that he has a duty to ensure physical discipline. And he will do exactly that. So I have no doubt that going forward, we will meet our targets, that this country will be reset in such a way that any government coming after John Dramani Mahama will not deviate course, and that our country will develop and progress.